I'm not the a-hole for telling my husband it's my house, and I will invite whomever pleases me into it. Me, 35 female, and my husband have been married for 4 years, together for 6. Since the very beginning, he has been extremely emphatic on the "this is mine, this is yours" thing. To this day, we split restaurant bills to the cent. His car is his, mine is mine. Every single dollar bill he makes is his, and same for me. We shop for food separately, he pays his, I pay mine. Nothing is ours, and if we ever get divorced, I would get nothing. He would get nothing. I don't really care. His, mine, ours, whatever. Is it annoying? Yes. But he very much cares, so I just go with it. I make good money, so I can pay for myself. We don't want kids, so that's not a worry. There is one thing that has slipped the whole division thing though. The house. It's entirely mine. He pays no rent and he has no legal rights to it. We share the space equally with no problems, until recently. My little sister, 29 female, lost her husband in a very tragic accident. They were together for more than a decade. Then 2 weeks ago, I got a call in the middle of the night. She was sobbing and could barely breathe. So I went to her place, packed her things and brought her home with me. She says she can't be in their house. It's so silent. She can't sleep because all she can hear is that he isn't breathing by her side. Since then, she is staying with us in the guest bedroom. She can stay as long as she wants. I have always been very family-oriented, and my husband knows this. And right now, my sister is my absolute priority, and no one who knows me should expect otherwise. Then last night, my husband asked to talk. He said that she had to go, that she is freaking him out, and that it feels like there is a ghost in his house. I was irritated. How dare him? And I told him so. That is not his house. It's not our house. It's my goddarn house. Just like everything else in our lives he has made separate. The house is mine, and my sister stays however long she wants. He has been acting dejected ever since. I don't really care, and my sister is staying. He can leave if he wants. But I'd like to know if I'm acting like an a-hole, and I prefer to be an aware a-hole. So am I? Now for the top comments. Info. So your salary goes towards paying a mortgage, home insurance, property taxes, upkeep, etc., and the salary just gets socked away in his bank account without having to pay any share? He can blow his money on whatever he wants, or invest in his name only, without having to pay for housing? This doesn't seem fair or reasonable, and puts you in a disadvantage if you do get divorced, of course. Unless you were really rich before marriage, and owned a home free and clear and make way more money than he does. Might be time to renegotiate the financial terms of this marriage. I bought the house outright with the money my dad left me. Any house-related expenses are mine. Currently, I make just enough that after all the costs house-related, leave me with around the same amount of money as a salary. Everyone sucks here. And you both are really going to be shocked someday when a divorce attorney explains to you what marital property is. Okay, so I knew someone was going to say something along these lines. We aren't American. In my country, when you get married, you can choose between a few options or make your own. One of the options is literally a total division of assets. No shared property. So no marital property then. Not the a-hole. I will say, I think his boundaries with you are weird. Is he a romantic? I just can't imagine snuggling with my husband if he is all 50% of this blanket is not yours. Or some crap. I'm sorry for your sister's loss. You're a good sis. You touched 10% of my blankie, so I'm docking you 10% affection. Clown stuff. Next story. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my sister-in-law to never come back to our house again? So I, 27 female, live with my husband at his parents' place. He has 3 sisters who live in different cities. We've never looked into moving out, and never wanted to either, as one of his sisters pays for 2 house helps. That makes things very easy for me because my husband and I work 9 to 5. Also, getting a house nowadays isn't easy. Last year his father died. Before dying, he equally divided the property among his 4 children, as this was their childhood home, but it is an understood fact among his sisters that this house is ours, whatever the papers might say. His youngest sister has a 5-year-old autistic kid. After her father's death, she practically moved into our home because my mother-in-law got severe depression. The house got pretty lonely for her, especially since my husband and I were out all the time. She'd even stay for dinner as though it was her who was paying for it. She occasionally brought her kids with her, and even though her daughters are incredibly sweet and even help around the house, her son makes me grateful I have no kids. I'd lock my room before going, but the rest of the house was never safe from this crotch goblin. My mother-in-law would never do anything and let him run wild. She'd say that her and her husband's pension was running half the house, and she didn't mind anything he did. I lock my portion, but I still live here, and it's annoying. He's getting therapy and the medical attention he needs, to no effect. He makes loud noises, and does all the things he knows annoy me. Why not ask her girls to look after him? The eldest is 15. Recently, my mother-in-law died. After the funeral was over, though, all the sisters are staying over, just until all of them can get emotionally stable again. But I decided to speak up now, or I'll never get my home to myself. I told the sister with a kid that she's not invited anymore, and I'm done with her kid. That is my place now, and no one gets to wreck its peace. She said that this was her home long before it was mine, and she owns a portion of it. That she'll come by whenever she wants to. That I should just lock away my portion, and whatever happens in the other portions is none of my business. In my anger, I said that her rotten genetics are the reason I don't want any kids. I admit I might have crossed a line, but she has her own home. Why does she need to wreck my peace? Now my husband's threatening to divorce me if I don't apologize. The other sisters have withdrawn their allowances and house helps, which I think is what bothers my husband a lot, because he thinks we won't be able to afford anything now. I told him that just goes to show that his sisters never loved him and only gave us money as charity. I think I should apologize because I don't want to ruin the family, but I also think if I stand my ground, it would keep the sister away. Am I the a-hole? You are 100% the a-hole in every instance of this story. Nothing belongs to you, so why do you feel so entitled to things you haven't earned yourself? Consider some professional therapy. Also, the sisters collectively own 75% of the house, while you and your husband would only maintain 25% based on the documents Opie mentioned. Exactly. I really hope the sisters band together and force a sale of the house and either buy her husband out or sell it so Opie gets her entitled rotten butt tossed out. Did I read that correctly? You and your husband live in his childhood home. The home was willed to your husband and his 3 sisters. You and your husband do not pay for the house. The sisters do. Yet you feel like the house belongs to you and the sisters are not allowed in it? If I'm understanding that correctly, then you are without a doubt the a-hole. If you pay nothing towards the house, then you can't tell the people who do and own the home legally what they can and cannot do. If you want to control who enters your home, you will need to move out and pay for your own home. You're the a-hole. Opie is leaving out so many key details. If both her and her husband work full-time jobs and they have this house left to them, what on earth do they need financial assistance for? Their only bills should be utilities, which apparently is being covered by the sisters, and mortgage, which is also being covered by the sisters. That leaves them with just their own personal items like phone, car, insurance, groceries, etc. Why would a dual full-time income need that much financial assistance for their basic bills? The sister in question pays for nothing. The other sisters do, even though my mother-in-law has left almost all her money for that kid's treatment. She only legally owns her portion of the place, but everyone calls it my husband's house as we permanently live in it. You keep saying permanently, yet something tells me you'll be out before long. You don't own anything, and I strongly recommend you figure that part out and act accordingly. You're the a-hole. If you want your own space so much, go buy or rent your own home. You have absolutely no right to kick someone out of a space they own and you do not own. If I were your husband, I'd divorce your entitled butt without even waiting to see if you apologize. If the man has a single ounce of intelligence, this is exactly what he'll do. Next story. Am I the a-hole for making my niece leave when I learned she was pregnant? I'll start off by saying that I, female 35, am not very close to my sister 45 female and my brother-in-law 48 male. We are just very different people who chose very different lives, and because of the age difference, we weren't close growing up. We live about 4 hours apart, and maybe see each other in person once every 2 to 3 years, and talk a handful of times a year. So, I was very surprised when my niece 16 female called me out of the blue to tell me that she was in the town I live closest to, and wanted to know if she could stay a while. I figured she was having some teenager moments with her family, and drove into town to grab her. When we got home, I called and then texted my sister and told her that niece was with me. I just got a K response, which furthered my suspicion that they had a fight. She had been here for about 3 weeks and things were going okay. I'm not used to having kids around, but she was a teenager and didn't need supervision. She seemed to be pretty quiet and withdrawn, but I don't know this girl, so it's not like I have any idea what she's like normally. Well, a few days ago, we were having dinner and she told me that she was pregnant. Her parents had kicked her out. She wanted to keep the baby, and her parents disagreed with her, to put it mildly. I told her that under no circumstances would I live in the same house as a newborn, and even if I wanted to, we lived too far out of town and she didn't drive, so logistically it would have been a nightmare. We argued, but I told her she was going back to my sister's. I called my sister and we argued quite heatedly, but I told her I was putting her back on the bus the next day, and she better pick her up, or I was going to call CPS. My niece has been back with my sister for a couple of days now, and the entire family is angry with me of all people. My niece is especially mad, and has texted me a few times to tell me how much she hates it at her family's house, and that I'm cruel. Now for the comments. Everyone sucks here. Honestly, the poor girl. She desperately seeks out help and everybody just craps on her. She shouldn't have gotten pregnant. Her parents shouldn't have kicked her out. And you could have probably helped her seek out emergency housing. Have no idea where the family of the baby's father is in all this, and it seems like no one else does either. I have no idea about the baby's father or any of the circumstances. I barely know my niece, as I stay pretty far away from my family. I'm guessing you have plenty of reasons for avoiding that side of your family. The more I find out, the more I'm wondering what kind of upbringing that poor niece of yours had. You maybe should make that CPS phone call after all. That might be a good idea. I don't think my sister would be abusive, but I think she is probably pretty strict with her kids. Everyone sucks here. You could have helped her walk through her options at the very least. She's a teenage girl, and pregnancy blows. She's likely feeling terrified and confused. I don't think everybody should be mad at you per se, but I do think you could have given a teenage girl the benefit of the doubt. I did try to walk through her options, but that was what led to an argument. She said the only option she wanted was to stay here and have the baby, but I told her that wasn't an option. After reading some of your replies, not the a-hole. If her game plan was live with you and have the baby, that's not your responsibility. But you let her live with you for 3 weeks without questioning what the heck was going on? Probably should have called CPS, but I can see depending on where you live, they may do nothing. Her life, her body, her choice. But she's gotta sleep in the bed she makes and not pass the responsibility off on her parents or you. That said, this is entirely between her parents and her. Anyone scolding you, just tell them she is not your daughter. This may sound weird, but we really didn't interact much. I don't know her well, and I work and have a small farm I need to care for. I'm not much of a talker and she kept to herself too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend that I'm not going to drop everything to take her to the hospital anytime she feels any discomfort? I'll try to remain as least biased as I can. I, 27 male, and my girlfriend, 21 female, are expecting our first baby at the beginning of May. This pregnancy has been nothing short of chaotic. My girlfriend has never experienced pregnancy and she's terrified to give birth. So any feeling of discomfort, she freaks out. I understand that pregnancy is hard and scary and my girlfriend doesn't have her family around to help her. So she's probably experiencing a lot of anxiety. I'm not trying to downplay that, I'm just frustrated. Because I feel like she's taking advantage of the fact that she can get me to do things for her just because she's pregnant. We got into a fight a few days ago. She insisted that she didn't feel good, and she thought something was wrong with the baby. She wanted to go to the hospital to make sure everything was okay. We've been to the hospital for this kind of emergency almost 4 times since the beginning of her pregnancy. I had to go to work because we are severely understaffed. So I told her that if she still didn't feel good tonight, we could go make sure everything was okay. She got upset with me, and she told me that I never take her pain serious. I told her that I can't drop everything anytime she feels any discomfort. Pregnancy is uncomfortable. We argued some more, then I left for work. When I got home, I asked if she was feeling better, but she wouldn't tell me. She has stopped talking to me about her pregnancy now, and I feel like she's being manipulative. She's withholding information about my child because I didn't drop everything to take her to the hospital again. I tried explaining to her my side of things and I apologized, but she's still mad at me. My girlfriend is treating me like I'm the a-hole, but I feel like she isn't seeing how frustrated and tired I am from dropping everything for her. Am I the a-hole? Need more info. The times she went to the hospital, was anything ever wrong? Because if not, I would say not the a-hole. You need to work to take care of your family. If she's constantly crying wolf, then that will impact your job. But if there was something wrong, then you should treat her complaints more serious. There has been something wrong twice. One time she fainted due to dehydration. The other time she was having contractions and the baby wasn't moving. So we thought it could be premature labor. This happened early in her pregnancy, so I think she has a lot of anxiety of it happening again. I understand, but I wish I could find a better way to manage her anxiety. This isn't a way of managing her anxiety. She is correctly identifying that things are not normal. Amazing for a first pregnancy. I am floored that you are characterizing her as overreacting, when in fact, 2 out of 3 times that you've been to the hospital, it was for very critical issues. You're the a-hole. Your wife is pregnant, and you're minimizing her symptoms as discomfort. I told her that I can't drop everything anytime she feels any discomfort. Buddy, you should have thought about this before you got her pregnant. You're locked in this roller coaster now, and you're just getting started. If she doesn't have family around, then you're it. You should let your work know she's pregnant, and you're going to have a lot of sudden absences coming up. It's a high-risk pregnancy, and 2 of the times they went there was a legit medical problem. Once because she fainted, others she was having early contractions. So, he is a huge flaming a-hole.